Well, hello. How's everyone doing? Hope everything's going well with everyone. I hope everyone's in good spirits and most importantly, healthy. I know this is tough. Anyway, we are now on chapter 10, and I just wanted to go over a couple of the workbook problems. Mostly, let's see here, it was this one right here. For right now, let's start with, let's see here. Where was I? I just had it. Okay, go up a little bit. All right, so I have some of the work already written down here, but I'll try to just because it takes a little bit of time to write some of the stuff down. I want to, save some time. This is page 195 in your workbook. You can see this on the PDF that I gave to you on Google Classroom. This is a 2-sample z-test, right? So it's a 2-sample z-test for 2 proportions, right? So in this case, let's see here. A school official suspects, and then we're talking about right here. And one thing, by the way, I told you to do the other way. Maybe read the first sentence first. Do these data provide convincing evidence that the proportion of low-income students at Lakeville North is higher than the proportion at Lakeville South? Use a 5% significance level. So that tells me, ding, 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 that's going to be a t-test, right? That's going to be a 2-proportion z-test, or you could say a 2-sample z-test. All right, a school official suspects the difference in the proportion of 2 students who own digital tools between Lakeville North and Lakeville South high schools may be a result of the difference in the socioeconomic status of the students in the 2 schools. The result of random samplings of 2 student registration records indicate 28 out of 120 students at Lakeville North came from low-income families. All right, that's why I wrote right here, p hat of n, 28 over 120, right? That's my n value right there, by the way, 120. Then it says right here, 30 out of 150 students at Lakeville South came from low-income families. That's 30 over 150 right there, p hat of s. Do these data provide convincing evidence that the proportion of low-income students at Lakeville North is higher than the proportion at Lakeville South? Use a 5% significance level. All right, so how did I start this? State the null hypothesis is p sub n minus p sub s equals 0. The alternative is p sub n minus p sub s. And why did I put greater than 0? Well, because right here, you notice it says it is higher. This is providing convincing evidence that Lakeville North, low-income students at Lakeville North, is higher than the proportion of Lakeville South. So that would mean that p sub n minus p sub s, if p sub n is higher, then it's going to give you a value greater than 0, of course. And then we define the parameters where p sub n is the true proportion of low-income students at Lakeville North. P sub s is the true proportion of low-income students at Lakeville South. And don't forget to define the alpha level right here with alpha significance level equals 0.05. All right, plan. Remember what we're doing for plan. Random, 10%, and large counts if we're talking about proportions, right? So let's do it. Random, yes, random sampling. I believe it says it in the second sentence. It says the results of random sampling of student registration, right? If you see 10%. Okay, we assume 120. And where did I get 120 from? Well, right up there, 120 right there. So we assume that 120 is less than 10% of students at Lakeville North. And the other one right here, if you look up, 150, right? So we assume that 150 is less than 10% of all students at Lakeville South. Large counts. Now notice here, instead of just writing n times p, n times p sub hat n, and then n times 1 minus p sub hat n times p sub, all that stuff, I saved a little time. P hat of n is 28 over 120, right? So if I multiply 120 times 28 over 120, I'll get 28. And then if I subtract 1 minus 28 over 120, I'll get 92 over 120. So 92 over 120 times 120 is just 92. So that way I can just say 28, and then 120, this is the result of 120 minus 28, right? Is right there is 92. And then my other p hat was 30 over 150. So that's 30. And 120 is the result of 150 minus 30, right? So that gave you 120. All are greater than or equal to 10. Okay? You don't need to write that down, just showing you where I got that. Okay, save some time. So then we can say 2 sample z-tests for p sub n minus p sub s. All right, do. In this case, we're going to use the graphing calculator. We turn it on. We press on, right? We press stat, okay? We go to tests. We're doing a 2-prop z-test. So I put tech 2-prop z-test. Sorry for that terrible handwriting. Wow. Pretty awful, huh? We just put right here, test. There we go, much better, okay? All right, so we're gonna go to calc right here and 2-prop z-test, there we go. It looks like it's at number 5, okay? Very good, I'm sorry, number 6, I said that wrong. 5 is 1-prop z-test, so 6 is 2-prop z-test. All right, and this, again, we go all the way back to what I wrote in the beginning, right? I said p hat sub n is 28 over 120. So I'll just type in 28, enter, 120, enter. Looks like I already did this problem. And then p hat sub s, that's 30 over 150. So 30, enter, 150, enter. Okay, and then remember the alternative hypothesis right here was p sub n minus p sub s is greater than 0, right? We were trying to prove that the north had a higher proportion than the south. So we're going to use right there greater than p sub 2. Press enter for calculate. That gives us right here our z-score is 0.6627. Our p-value looks like it's 0.2538 if I round it. So there we go, 0.2538. All right. So very good. Now we're going to go to conclude. Okay, and I need actually another sheet of paper right here, or a sheet of virtual paper, if you will. So let's do that. Sorry for the delay. It's loading, and it's still loading. And we are good. All right, so conclude. We are going to say, because the p-value, which equals 0.2538, is greater than the alpha level, which is 0.05. Remember, alpha is like your bar, right? So it's greater than the bar. Okay, what are we going to say right here? Since it is the p-value is greater than the bar, we are going to fail to reject H of O, okay? And we're going to go ahead and say right here, okay, we do not have significant evidence, or do not have convincing evidence, either one's fine, that the proportion of low-income students at Lakeville North is higher than the proportion at Lakeville South. Proportion of low-income students at Lakeville North is higher. I don't know why I just wrote that in capital H. Sorry about that. Is higher than the proportion at Lakeville South. There we go. Good enough. Okay. So that's the first workbook example, and there we are right there.